Let's hope this video goes well. I've had to restart this video because I couldn't figure out what part I wanted to read and because I kept mispronouncing too many words, so sorry if I do that and sorry if it's loud. My air conditioner's on. Okay, so we're doing readings for the second chapter of The Hobbit, Roast Mutton. And it was hard for me because I thought I knew what my favorite part was, and then it turns out nope, I like a different part, just a tad bit more. So the part I chose to read was when the trolls are capturing all the dwarves and Gandalf comes and kind of tricks all of the trolls into arguing with each other until they turn to stone. Yeah. I'll just start reading. With sacks in their hands that they used for carrying off mutton and other plunder, they waited in the shadows. As each dwarf came up and looked at the fire and the spilled jugs and the gnawed mutton, in surprise pop went a nasty, smelly sack over his head, and he went down. Soon Dwalin lay by Balin, and Fili and Kili lay together, and Dori and Nori and Ori all in a heap, and Oin and Gloin and Bifur and Boffer and Bomber piled uncomfortably near the fire. That'll teach him, said Tom, for Bifur and Boffer had given a lot of trouble, and fought like mad as dwarves will when cornered. Thorin came last, and he was not caught unawares. He came expecting mischief, and didn't need to see his friend sticking out of the sacks to tell him that things were not all well. He stood outside in the shadows some way off and said, "What's all this trouble? Who has been knocking my people about?" "It's trolls," said Bilbo from behind a tree. They had forgotten all about him. "They're hiding in the bushes with sacks," said he. "Oh, are they?" said Thorin, and he jumped forward to the fire before they could leap on him. He caught up a big branch all on fire at one end, and Bert got the end in his eye before he could step aside. That put him out of the battle for a bit. Bilbo did his best. He caught hold of Tom's leg as well as he could. It was thick as a young tree trunk, but he was sent spinning up into the top of some bushes when Tom kicked the sparks up in Thorin's face. Tom got the branch in his teeth for that and lost one of the front ones. It made him howl, I can tell you. But just at that moment, William came up and popped a sack right over Thorin's head and down to his toes. And so the fight ended. A nice pickle they were all in now, all neatly tied up in sacks, with 3 angry trolls, and 2 with burns and bashes to remember, sitting by them, arguing whether they should roast them slowly, or mince them fine and boil them, or just sit on them one by one, and squash them into jelly, said Bilbo. And Bilbo in a bush, with his clothes and his skin torn, not daring to move for fear they should hear him. It was just then that Gandalf came back, but no one saw him. The trolls had just decided to roast the dwarves now and eat them later. That was Bert's idea. Now, after a lot of argument, they had all agreed to it. "No good roasting him now. It'll take all night," said a voice. Bert thought it was William's. "Don't start the argument all over again, Bill," he said, "or it will take all night." "Who's arguing?" said William, who thought it was Bert that had spoken. "You are," said Bert. "You're a liar," said William, and so the argument began all over again. In the end, they decided to mince them fine and boil them. So they got a great black pot and they took out their knives. "No good boiling him, we ain't got no water, and it's a long way to the well and all," said a voice. Bert and William thought it was Tom's. "Shut up," said they, "or we'll never have done, and you can fetch the water yourself if you say any more." "Shut up yourself," said Tom, who thought it was William's voice. "Who's arguing but you, I'd like to know?" "You're a booby," said William. "Booby yourself," said Tom. And I hope they keep that line in the movie, because I will be waiting for that line. Definitely. And so the argument began all over again and went on hotter than ever until at last they decided to sit on the sacks one by one and squash them and boil them next time. "Who shall we sit on first?" said the voice. "Better sit on the last fellow first," said Bert, whose eye had been damaged by Thorin. He thought Tom was talking. "Don't talk to yourself," said Tom, "but if he wants to sit on the last one, sit on him. Which is he?" "The one with the yellow stockings," said Bert. "Nonsense, the one with the gray stockings," said a voice like William's. "I made sure it was yellow," said Bert. "Yellow it was," said William. "And what did you say it was gray for?" said Bert. "I never did," Tom said it. "That I never did," said Tom. "It was you. 2 by 2, 2 to 1, so shut your mouth," said Bert. "Who are you a-talking to?" said William. "Now stop it," said Tom and Bert together. "The night's getting on and the dawn comes early. Let's get on with it." "Dawn take you all and be stoned to you," said a voice that sounded like William's, but it wasn't. For just at that moment the light came over the hill, and there was a mighty twitter in the branches. William never spoke, for he stood turned to stone as he stooped, and Bert and Tom were stuck like rocks as they looked at him. And there they stand to this day, all alone, unless the birds perch on them, for trolls, as you probably know, must be underground before dawn, or they go back to the stuff of the mountains that they are made of, and never move again. That is what happened to Bert and Tom and William. "Excellent," said Gandalf, as he stepped from behind a tree and helped Bilbo to climb out of a thorn bush. Then Bilbo understood. It was the wizard's voice that had kept the trolls bickering and quarreling until the light came and made an end of them. The next thing was to untie the sacks and let out the dwarves. They were nearly suffocated and very annoyed. They had not at all enjoyed lying there listening to the trolls making plans for roasting them and squashing them and mincing them. They had to hear Bilbo's account of what had happened to him twice over before they were satisfied. "Silly time to go practicing pinching and pocket-picking," said Bomber, "when what we wanted was fire and food." "And that's just what you wouldn't have got of those fellows without a struggle in any case," said Gandalf. "Anyhow, you are wasting time now. Don't you realize that the trolls must have a cave or hole dug somewhere near to hide from the sun in? We must look into it." Yeah, so I'm very excited to see that in the movie. I hope it's like, because reading like all like Tom and William and Bert all at once is just, oof. I hope it's as chaotic, and I hope Gandalf comes in all like badass and stone to all of you, or whatever that line was. I want the booby line. I think a lot of us want the booby line just because it sounds funny. Yeah. Okay. That was my reading for Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. And I hope many people read their favorite parts. Probably do a better job than me. I'm not good at reading out loud.